Welcome to the Dead Bedroom Revival podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. It is Thursday. I've not had a lot of time to make episodes. Kind of gutted about it because leading up to Christmas, I just wanted to be with you guys, speaking to you guys, because this is a very difficult time for many people within a sexless relationship, especially if you're struggling to make things work. And from many occasions when I've spoken to different people dread these sort of family occasions. So you might be in a case that you're actually going to spend time with family, and then while you're spending time with family, you guys are having to pretend that everything is okay at home, but really it's not okay. So we're going to continue with the theme of decision making, and with this, I'm just hoping that I can pump you up for next year. You can start thinking about your plans on how you're going to tackle next year, 2023, and make 2023 your year where you're going to be really successful in every single part of your life. So as a dad, as a husband, a boyfriend, and also in your work life. And I'm going to teach you a principle that has been working for me for the past sort of a year and a half. And when I discovered this, I was really going through a tough period in my life. I got myself into a financial bad situation, and then I was just getting letters from different creditors, and it was really, really, really stressful. And it's just financial things that I could not sort out, and it became very difficult. And it came to the point where some of these creditors were trying to get me to start forcing me down the route of bankruptcy and different things that were happening. And it was all self-inflicted because I did just mismanage the way I was doing things and money. And when all this thing was happening and I was getting all those letters, there's one thing that I regret doing, and it was just a part of who I was, and started leading me down this path where it became worse over a period of time. It was the fact that I was just delaying the decision. If I got those letters and then acted on them immediately, I wouldn't have found myself to the place where I was almost really suffering in terms of just the stress, anxiety, really just feeling like the world is on top of me. And the delaying of decision was what made it worse. And I can guarantee you, when you are within a sexless relationship, you suffer from delaying with decisions. And what I'm saying by this is that there's conversations that you could have had when the symptoms started coming up, but you probably left it off for later on, and then you didn't speak about it. And then over a period of time, I'm talking to you if your partner isn't wanting to have sex because of, if they want to have sex because of medical reasons, or there's something wrong with their body, then it's not on you. But I'm saying if it's the case that you, over a period of time, you are failing to get the arousal or seduction frequently, then it comes down to the conversations that you could have had that were awkward or a little bit difficult to have, that you've put off over a period of time. And this is, within my relationship, I've done this quite a lot of times where I could have had a conversation, and that conversation would be awkward because maybe you're putting your partner on the spotlight, or maybe you are sort of putting some blame on them for a certain scenario. And because you don't want the payback, or the person to bite back, or whatever reason you feel like it's not worthy for you to bring it up, it usually makes the thing worse. And the best way to give you an example for this and how this could happen, I remember once I'd gone to visit my dad. He lived in South Africa, and at the time my mom lived in a different part of Africa at the time, and they needed to get a train to get over to where they were going. So we took them to the train, got them seated in their seats. It was going to be a long trip. And we just didn't realize that the time had come up for the train to go. So all of a sudden, they started announcing that it's time for the train to go. And then we're now like, goodbye. And we're now trying to get off this train. and this train starts moving. So unlike the trains that we've got now, where the doors lock as soon as the train starts moving, you could actually open the door while the train is moving. And as the train started moving, it started picking up speed. And the gentleman that was there was like, if you are going to get off, you need to get off now before it picks up any more speed, because if it picks up speed, then you're really going to hurt yourself. So it picked up speed. By the time we actually decided and got over the fear of jumping and moving train and all these things, we ended up sort of jumping, and I got massive bruises and scratches, my dad as well. But it was not as bad as maybe if we made the decision 40 seconds later or 45 seconds later, when it would have picked up even more speed. So it would have had broken bones or even worse. So it is so important that whenever you're in a scenario, the ability to make decisions quickly and act on them quickly is very, very important. It's different from the quality of the decision, because sometimes we talked about the influence, how you're influenced into making a decision. But when you do decide on the decision, it's acting on the decision and acting on it regardless of how you might feel in terms of how awkward it is, how the other person might feel. Because when you have those conversations, it really brings up the revelation of where things are, where you stand, and it really takes away the whole anxiety and stress around the scenario or situation. And this, putting the sexless relationship aside, if it's a boss or I'll give an example. A young guy I work with, he was scheduled to go and do some work somewhere else, and he had he came up to a day where he had two options, and he needed to remove one of the options, and the main option was to go and speak to the manager and say to the manager, I need to do something. I need to have the day off on Monday so I can go and do whatever you needed to say, and then go and do that. And by doing the other job, he had opportunities to open up for more opportunities. And in the end, he ended up sort of not making a decision. And because he delayed the decision, he ended up missing out on future. He ended up coming back to work on the following Monday. Didn't speak to the manager. The manager didn't know, which is fine. But he also missed it because he had messed around with the other opportunity. The guys that gave him that opportunity were not interested in giving him another opportunity again. And again, it's one of those things that you delay the decision up until you now lose more by delaying the decision. So it's another example. And again, this is at work. If you feel like you need a raise, you need to go and have the conversation and say, I feel like I need a raise because of XYZ stuff that I've done, and therefore I'm valuable to this company. What's going on? And really, by putting that information out there, it makes the person start thinking, your boss, whoever is in charge, gets them thinking what's going on. So if they tell you no, at least you know that they said no. And then from that information, it means that you can either start looking for a new job, or you can start looking, you can just suck it up and then continue working. But regardless, the moment you make a decision of what you want, you need to be able to take action on it. And this is what is important, because when it comes to a sexless relationship, if this is a habit that is within your life, that you delay decision to the point where it's crushing you, mentally, it's crushing you from a professional standpoint, you start carrying this baggage of stress and anxiety, and really it's as you carried over a period of time, it starts affecting how you behave around your wife, your children, people around you, and then you become sometimes toxic. Sometimes you can sort of hide away and give this persona that you're happy, but you're not. So all of this is all destructive. And again, when it comes to then, if you are delaying decisions at work and that's affecting you in terms of the value and who you are as a person, when your relationship is going good at home, all that baggage that you carry where you are not making those decisions and it's affecting you, when it comes to seduction, that makes the seduction not good, because you cannot transition from feeling shitty about yourself and feeling really not worthy. If you, again, all those thoughts and how you feel affect how you project seduction. And I think we talked about this before, that when you're doing seduction or when you're communicating, sometimes it's this transmission of emotions, and your transmission of your emotions, if they're coming from a negative perspective, that person feels the negativity, and then they don't want to be indulging in that. They just feel something just feels awkward about it, and then they don't want to be involved in it. And this is one of the things that it affects it. So this is how it all happens when it comes to decision making. And hopefully this has blown your mind, because when I figured this out, it really, really changed my life. A lot of things, even the decisions. Sometimes I've sat down with my manager and have this awkward conversation and say, I've heard this information, is it true? And put them on the spot. And usually 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh my God, yeah, it is true. And this is what's going to happen. And then I'll put them to the sword to it and say, well, if this is what's going to happen, and 9 times out of 10, it ends up being a constructive conversation, because they're just probably as afraid as I was to talk about it. But the fact that now it's in the open, it makes it easier for both of us. Then it doesn't feel like I'm trying to do something to leave the company, or it settles his mind. It settles my mind, because I'm not thinking about what's going on and stressing myself out, because really the boogeyman you can't see is scarier than the boogeyman that is in front of you, because your mind just races and just thinks of the worst. So having this conversation just sort of frees you from that, and then all of a sudden you're able to really grow. And especially in my case, with the moment I started doing this and implementing this in my life, I started growing rapidly, because I never had any regrets. Like during the day, I'll think of what conversation did I have, or did I chicken out of not having. And then when I had that conversation, it turned out that the way I thought it was going to go in my head was not as bad. In fact, it saved me a whole world of hurt. So thank you very much for listening. I've gone further than I wanted to, but hopefully this is powerful. In terms of next year, this is going to be important, because when you can do this, I can guarantee you 2023 is going to be absolutely amazing, when you can make quality decisions, make those decisions, and then act on them quickly, regardless of, what you think the outcome might be. So this is what's going to be important. To learn more of this and really want to get clarity on how to resolve your sexless relationship, go to www.deadbedroomrevival.com, or go to our Instagram, and then message us marriage or relationship on the DMs at Dead Bedroom Revival, and you'll be able to find us there, or even just comment or say something to us, whatever you need to say. If you've got a question, send out a question, I can answer you through the podcast. So thank you very much. Hopefully I can make a couple of episodes before the end of this year. If I don't, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care.